if you go down to takeoff runways 1317, which is the first choice, it says climbing right turn to 8,100 via heading of 340. And you can see that on the graphic above the airport with the turns and the heading.
I see
like
it.
That.
I see it.
So,
right turn to 340.
You're heading 340. And the Montrose MTJ VOR radial 297. Okay. And you go out on that radial until you hit that 8,100 feet, and then you make a climbing right-hand turn, and the graphic actually shows that. If you see it there, it's got 8,100 runways 13, 17, and 31.
Got it.
And you make a right-hand turn back to the VOR. So I want a U.S. low IFR.
Yep.
And what we're looking at is Victor 68 will take you to Cones.
Oh,
That's another VOR.
Okay, I see it.
That's the 199 radial.
ETL is the designation for that.
There is a waypoint down here called Dayuk. Come off Montrose on the 199 radial, and it's 23 miles to Dayuk intersection. And Dayuk intersection is the initial approach fix for this RNAV GPS. I've got Zulu written down here, runway 9. In X-plane, you're just going to have to fly whichever one it allows you to fly. But you can set the minimums lower. It's really the same approach. If you look on this Victor 68 from Montrose to Dayuk, the minimum route altitude is 12,000 feet. You're going to hold over MTJ until you get the altitude you need to safely proceed on that course. You'll hold over Montrose until you get to 12,000, and then you'll proceed down Victor 68, which is a 199 radial, until you get to Dayuk intersect.
Okay.
Now, if I remember correctly, the next leg on that approach from Dayuk is at 13,000 feet. So you may as well set your altitude window to 13,000 feet and just climb to that, and you can be climbing to 13 between Montrose and Dayuk.
Okay.
Okay, now, so do you want to go to Telluride and look at that approach?
I'm looking at the RNAV Zulu approach.
So you see Dayuk in there, right up top center.
I do.
And so that has an altitude of 13,000 feet. So when we cross Dayuk, we need to be at 13.
13,
There is a holding pattern over Cones. So that is a holding pattern in lieu of a procedure turn. The other two legs to this thing, from Eknoff and Havu, have NOPT. That means when you come from them, you don't have to do a procedure turn. But since it doesn't have NOPT from Dayuk, you do. So you're going to have to do a holding pattern and then start this approach. You see there's a 102 and a 282.
I see that.
The 282 is the outbound. The 102 is the inbound. But you're going to go outbound from the VOR on a direction of 282. So it'll be parallel to that outbound leg. And that's why this is called a parallel entry.
So I turn right. So from 202, I turn right onto 282. Once I go 1 mile, you want me to make a right-hand turn back onto 102?
Back to the VOR. So it'll be more than 102.
Oh.
Because you're going to turn all the way till you go back to the VOR.
I'm going to turn direct to the VOR.
That is correct, yeah. Now, if you were going to stay in the holding pattern when you cross the VOR the next time, then you would be making left-hand turns the entire time you're in the holding pattern. A couple other things on here that you want to look at and be made aware of. This is, first off, look at the terrain. This thing goes into like a box canyon.
I see
that. There's terrain all around this airport, number one. Number two, if we look up at the notes on the upper screen and the upper left, some of the notes are pretty interesting. Circling, not authorized at night. Okay. Circling north, not authorized north of runway 927. So not only can you not circle at night, you can't circle north of the runway.
Okay.
So in other words, if you were coming on this approach, but for some reason you just had to land on 27, your circling would be on the south side of the airport. There's also a dot, or it's a note. The note says missed approach requires a minimum climb of 380 feet per nautical mile to 12,500 feet. If unable to meet the climb gradient, see RNAV GPS Yankee runway 9. So remember, this is what I was telling you. I think that these approaches are essentially identical. The only difference is if you can't meet that climb gradient, then you fly the other one, and it has higher minimums.
Got it. Well, let's think about it for a second. Our max climb speed is 60 knots, and we can maintain a climb of 600 feet per minute. And so we can make it 1 nautical mile in a minute, 600 feet per minute. That exceeds the climb gradient minimum of 380 feet per nautical mile.
So you can do that. So
I can do this.
Now, the only thing you'd have to look at is, can you do it at 12,000 feet?
Oh. And there's a table, I suppose I'd have to look that up in.
Yeah. You can look up on performance charts. Now, in the upper right-hand corner is missed approach. It's a climbing right-hand turn to 15,000 feet direct to ETL, which is cones, VOR,
Yep.
where you were doing your hold, and hold. So this is an immediate turn. If you get down here to the missed approach point and you don't see anything, or for some reason you can't land, then you need to get out of there. I mean, right now, you need to start turning and climbing immediately.
Got it.
The other thing to think about is, if you look down here at the very bottom on the profile view, where it shows you where to descend and the altitudes and whatnot, when you get down to the MDA on this descent profile, then it flattens out until it hits the end of the runway, which is the missed approach point. But you're going to be 1,600 feet above the runway, because that's the lowest you can go on this approach. So if you get down to 1,600 feet, you're not going to be at the missed approach point yet. But if you level off at 1,600 feet above the runway and you just keep going straight ahead, if you break out of the clouds, you're going to be too high to land, because you're 1,600 feet above the runway, and now you're right over the end of it.
Sure.
So all I'm saying is, those are things that you want to kind of have in your mind. You go, look, we're going to need to see this thing just about the same time that we hit the MDA. If we don't see it, then now you continue on until you hit the missed approach point before you execute the missed approach point and start your turn. So you say, well, okay, if I'm not going to make it, why don't I turn?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You don't. No, you continue on the approach till you hit the missed approach point, and then you do what the missed approach procedure tells you to do. All right, you're ready to roll.
All right, let's go. Come back now. There we go. A little bit of right rudder there. All right. Up we go.
You can probably pull it right up into those magenta wings.
All right,
we're telling you what you need to be doing.
All right, we're on the wings.
And at any point, you can click the autopilot.
All right, autopilot now. And it's decided that, okay, route in 5 seconds, it's going to begin its turn. We are climbing at 700 feet per minute. Speed is increasing.
And so it should turn to heading 340, shouldn't it? A right-hand turn.
It should turn to heading 340. It does not appear to be doing that.
Well,
oh, there it goes. There it goes.
Yeah.
Right-hand turn to 340. All right. Speed's still increasing to 79 knots.
And what's your rate of climb?
Looks like 700 feet per minute. I think we can increase that.
Okay, well, go to 100 more to 800.
Going up to 800. All right.
But you got to keep an eye on that, because flying this simulator, I've gotten distracted focusing on something else and stalled the thing out.
Yep, I'm watching my speed. It's dropping now to 77 knots.
If the speed's coming back, I would lower it back to 700, or maybe even 600.
Lowering it to 700. All right.
And what's the altitude now?
The altitude is now 6,700 feet.
Okay, now at 8,100 feet, you're going to make a right-hand turn back to the VOR, correct?
All right, right-hand turn to the VOR at 8,100 feet.
And the autopilot should do that, because that's part of the procedure. And my guess is it may even enter the holding pattern.
I'll be
now
interested. I'll be interested to see if it does that correctly. I'll be interested to see if at 8,100 feet it decides it correctly decides to turn for the VOR.
Oh, I bet you. Well, I'll put $5 on it.
I don't know why it is. I don't trust computers today. I work on them every day, and I'm like, I bet it won't do that.
Oh, this is a pretty smart computer.
It's
a lot of it's garbage in, garbage out. You know, it's always that way.
Sure.
And so the entry that it'll make at Montrose would be a direct entry. It'll just go right into that right-hand holding pattern.
Yeah.
And it should hold that until you decide to do something different.
All right. Speed's still good. Looks like it's starting to drop a little bit. 75. I'll nose down, or one more for reduce the climb to 600 feet per minute.
That's probably a good idea.
Keep speed.
Where are you at now?
7,600. The autopilot has decided to make a left-hand turn.
Really?
It looks like now it's going to...
Oh, no, it's intercepting that radio.
Oh, okay. Yes, and I also see an arc here, which indicates it looks like it's going to make a right-hand turn directly for the VOR.
Yeah, that's why it went left to intercept that radio.
It's having a lot of decision. It's making a lot of decisions right now.
I've seen it do this before, and that's why you've got to be ready to take over manually. You say, okay, this ain't working.
You're like, that's enough. That's enough, GPS. That's enough.
So, are you above 8,100?
We're just crossing 8,100 right now, and okay, it looks like it has decided to fly the. It's decided to fly direct to the VOR. So we're doing a right-hand turn.
And up there at the very top, that magenta, what does it say for the next waypoint? Does it say MTJ?
Well, let me take a look. 8,100 to MTJ.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. That is what it's being directed to do.
See, and go back and enlarge that DFD again.
Sure.
And look at the bearing pointer. The bearing pointer points to about, what is that? About
135, yeah.
140?
It's changing since we're so close to this VOR, so it's...
Yeah, how far? We're 2.2 miles?
Yes, we're 2.2 miles. So the bearing is changing to closer to 150.
But it's gonna keep turning until it hits that bearing pointer arrow, and then it's gonna stop.
Got it. I see.
And then when it hits that, it should enter the holding pattern, and it should enunciate that up here. If you went to your nav display and looked at the flight plan, it probably has a hold listed. Open up the flight plan and see what it says.
Hold.
MTJ hold. See it there?
Mm-hmm. And it looks like it makes at 11,000 feet. That's when the hold ends, essentially.
Well, that's probably the end of the narrative. In other words,
right.
That's as far as the narrative goes. But you've got to go to 12. So you've got to decide. I don't know whether it'll exit the holding pattern on its own and go direct to Telluride.
It now says hold direct.
Yeah. So now it's going to make a direct entry. As soon as it hits that VOR, what's going to happen is that bearing pointer will start to swing. And then it should start a right-hand turn to go outbound on what? 297.
297. Now let me.
You see that on your chart?
I do.
That's the outbound. The inbound's 117.
All right.
Now,
here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Now, what you can do is if you're saying, look, I don't know what to say. So you can take it out of nav mode and do it by headings and old school VOR stuff if you want to do that. And that's probably not a bad idea.
Well, if we do that, then we can whoa, we're getting a little turbulence up here. Woo-wee. Fun.
It's a mountain wave. Well, so let it finish this turn.
And then we can
and it should roll out 297.
297. We'll watch for that. Yep, that looks like 290.
Now you can start your timer to go a minute.
Yep. Timer.
Yeah, there you go. Heading at the top. Timer start.
All right.
Now, down here in the very center, underneath that magenta line, is CDI. If you click that once, CDI button, and that's the VOR1. So you can set that up on 117. So up here on the course thing,
yep,
and you rotate this thing to say 117, 117.
Looks like it's going to turn. Okay, there we go. There we go.
If you're in heading, did you go to heading mode?
No, I did not.
Oh, you're supposed to go to heading mode.
Oh, I was.
Maybe I neglected to say that. Go to heading mode.
Okay, we're on heading. We're on heading mode.
Yeah, just click heading.
I'm gonna need to drop my climb. We are running out of speed.
Yeah, lower. Yeah, see, that's why I said you got to monitor that. Because
I hear you.
You're in some pretty high thin air.
I hear
and
you.
make sure you're at full power.
Full power, but I should probably take a look at my mixture, shouldn't I?
Well, usually what'll happen is if you're too rich, you're just wasting fuel. But you could bring it back. It shouldn't give you any more performance.
Oh no?
No. The engine will just run cooler. Okay, so now you've gone a minute. Now you can turn back towards the VOR on that 117 radial, and you're in the hole.
All right, so I want to do a right-hand turn?
Yes, sir. That's
all right.
Correct. So just go ahead and turn that baby all the way around to, don't go any farther.
117.
A lot of these autopilots, if it'll, whatever direction you move the heading bug is the direction it'll start to turn. But if you go past 180, it goes the shortest direction to the bug, so it'll go back the other way.
Got it.
You need to know which way your airplane works.
Got it.
And just until you do it and you find out, oh, this one goes the shortest direction to the heading bug. The Columbia on the G1000 Garmin unit, it doesn't do that.
We've now crossed 11,000 feet.
Okay, so now we need to. Actually, probably what can happen, how far are we from the VOR? 3 miles?
3 miles.
You can probably be ready to go outbound at that point.
All right. I should probably remove these procedures.
Well, here's what you can do now. Yeah, you can do that. You can go to what is it? Is it menu or whatever?
I got it.
You got it. Okay, you got it. Now you can go and you can select the approach. Yeah, there you go.
Looks like we have RNAV Yankee.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's what I said.
And we want the initial approach fix to be ETL, right?
No, Dayuk.
Oh, Dayuk, excuse me.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, and then just load it.
Oops. Get out of here. Get out of here. Load it. Okay.
So now we're headed towards the VOR. What's our altitude now?
Our altitude is 11.5. We're still climbing.
Okay. So we just want to cross Montrose at 12. So that should be good. And so now you can be ready to, when you cross it, you're going to turn to 199 degrees because that's Victor 68.
Okay, that'll get us on Victor 68.
Okay, well, it'll get you started there, and then you'll just reset your VOR pointer to the 199 radial.
Got it.
See, we're just about to go by it. You see how the bearing pointer's going to the right?
And
we should have turned a little bit more to the right to try to get on that VOR radial.
Oh, okay.
So we're okay. That's all right. No big deal.
All right. Well, I think we're crossing it, so how about...
Yeah, go ahead and make a turn now to... I turned about 210 maybe.
210, okay.
Yeah, just set on 210.
And at this point, we should...
Change the course for the VOR to 199.
199, and we should be now navigating by the ETL VOR, no longer the Montrose VOR, right?
No, this comes out of Montrose.
Oh, it comes out of Montrose? Okay.
Yeah, the total distance is 33 miles, so we could go half of that out of Montrose.
Course 199.
Yes, sir. And now you'll see this bearing pointer is starting to come around. You can take a little bit bigger swing at it. You can turn another 10 degrees to the right if you want.
Sure. And then we're going to watch for that bearing line to come over.
Well, it'll line up with this green line, and the broken green line will move back towards center to line up.
Now, should we continue climbing for 13,000?
Yes, sir, I would.
All right, we are continuing the climb to 13,000.
And so we're good to go out. Well, we're already going outbound, so that's good. And the distance to Dayak is 23 miles, so there's no problem. Matter of fact, once we get level at 13 and on this radial, we can go direct Dayak, and we can increase our speed via the Alt-T method and get there quicker and move this thing along.
Sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and establish on heading 199 as the...
Well, you want to try, we're still 2 degrees off, so you want to try to get that green line straight up and down. Then you could go direct to Dayak.
I timed it a little, but I was a little too aggressive.
It just takes a little practice to get the feel of it.
Well, we'll take a little shallow turn here and just watch the needle.
Yeah, and then once it's almost centered, you can go back to 199 or 200.
Now, would you recommend we just switch it over to nav mode?
Once you're on that radial, yeah. So go back to the nav display.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Hey. Yeah, that's good. Go back to the nav display.
All right.
And pull up the flight plan.
Huh? That doesn't look right. Oh, that's because we haven't activated this.
Right. That other line showed you direct Telluride. So go ahead. No, you're fine. So there's Dayak right there. You had Dayak highlighted.
Yep.
So go back, roll it down 1 to highlight Dayak.
Okay.
Now press the D arrow button, direct.
Got it.
And enter it. Now go back to the other screen. The PFD. And go, yeah, okay. Now go down here to CDI and click it twice to bring up nav, the magenta line. Now go over here and click nav on the autopilot panel.
Here we go.
Now look at the top, and it enunciates. The green is GPS. That's what it's navigating on now. The autopilot's on. We're level at 13,000 feet. Life is good. In the magenta at the top, you're going direct Dayak. That's what you want to see. Now, if you minimize that screen and you press Alt-T, up here in the center, you'll see times 2, times 4, times 8, 16. Alt-T, do it again. Whoa. But you need to be stable. If you're not stable, it just goes crazy.
Got it.
Now, and when it gets to within about 3 miles a day, I'd tap it again and go back and get rid of that and go back to normal speed.
So 1 more Alt-T goes back to normal?
Is it 16 now? I can't read.
No, it's 4, 8, 16.
Okay, yeah, 1 more goes back to normal.
Okay, I'll watch.
Watch your distance, and when you're within about 3 miles, 2 to 3,
all right,
click it, Alt-T again, and it'll go back to
9, 8, 7.
When you do that, now we can do these things a lot faster.
Yeah, this is pretty good. 4 and 3 miles. We're at 1x time.
Alt-T. Okay, so we've got the approach chart out for the RNAV approach.
It was pretty neat, actually.
It's cool. Yeah, I know. I love it.
All right.
All right. And you can do that again once we cross Dayak.
Got it.
So when it's stable after the Dayak turn, you can do it again to get to cones. And then remember, we're going to have to do 1 turn in the hold there.
Got it. Now, should I go ahead and change my nav to the cones VOR?
No.
Okay.
No, we're using GPS-RNAV direct to Dayak now.
Okay.
So, no, you don't need cones. Because we're using, I mean, you can go up there and change your VOR just so you have something to look at it.
Well, I think that might be useful because that gives me this little
the bearing pointer.
This bearing pointer. That could be a good point of reference.
Distance. Yeah, so go ahead and did you put what was the frequency on cones?
The frequency on cones is 110.20. So that's active now.
And it shows you the identifier ETL, right? See,
that is correct.
Okay, so there you go. Now you got it. So you're 10 miles from it. You're going direct Dayak. You're stable. If you want to go to that Alt-T, and you can get there a little quicker, you can do that.
All right, let's see. Dayak to ETL. Yep, 10 miles. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead.
Alt-T, Alt-T, Alt-T.
Alt-T all
You got to
day.
watch what. You got to watch what you're pressing, because I did it, and I thought I was on Alt, but I wasn't, and it doesn't turn out the same.
Okay, 3 miles now to ETL, and we're back at regular time.
So now what should happen, okay, you're using nav mode, it should enter that hold, and then you should get a little annunciation in a moment that says, about to enter that hold parallel.
I see that, okay, and I see it looks like, yep, in the flight plan it shows there will be a hold, so that's good. Let's take a look at the PFD. 2 miles.
And shortly it should say hold parallel.
All right, we will watch. We will.
And that'll tell you, see, the computer knows how to enter the holding pattern.
Got it.
Now, this is a part that I still haven't quite got it figured out how to tell it. Once you're inbound, we don't need to hold anymore. And so I just reprogram the approach and start it at cones. And that'll get rid of the hold. Does that make sense? What's it enunciate out there? What does it say and why?
Hold parallel.
There you go. Yeah. See?
All right.
So what it's going to do, it's going to cross cones, and it's going to make a right-hand turn to what heading? Can you tell me?
It looks like it's going to turn to, what is that, 282?
282, yep. And it should go for 1 minute. You can start the timer if you want.
Let's do it.
Yeah. That timer's a handy little gadget.
It's easy to use, too, which is nice.
Yeah, it is.
You don't have to think about it too much.
Okay, so at that 1 minute point, you're going to make the turn around back towards cone. Now, at that point, if you want to, you can go back to the flight plan. You can delete what's in there, or you can just reacquire the approach and start it from ETL. See, I'm never too sure. I haven't figured out how to tell it I don't want to hold anymore.
Well, what if I just went direct to SEPMA?
Well, you can once you're over cones. You can. If you're going to do that, and you can do that. So if you're going to do that, what you want to do is put the heading bug up top and go to heading.
All right. There we go. Heading bug up top, heading. And we're almost at about a minute.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can make the turn back around towards cones. A right-hand turn to
102?
To the bearing pointer, whatever the bearing pointer is. 102 is a good start, but it's probably going to be more like 120. If you want to find out, take all the 120 now and see if it keeps turning to the right. Keep going. Does it stay right turn?
Yep.
Okay, so it does that. So you don't have to worry about that, what I told you before. This system knows better.
Okay, so we're making the right-hand turn.
Now, if you want, you can close that. You can go back to the nav display.
Yep.
Well, we're going to go. You're not going to re-enter the approach. You're going to just go direct SEPMA when you're over ETL. Okay,
right.
Good. That's no problem.
All right, we're not over ETL yet, but we'll get there.
No. Well, when you get there now, turn on the inbound course 102.
Yep.
And then direct SEPMA.
Okay.
And then go back to.
Okay, got it.
And we need to look what altitude we need to be. Now, actually, it's only 12.9, right? 100 feet lower. You're way up here.
It's true. Let's see. SEPMA's still 13,000.
I see 12.9.
Are you looking at the Yankee approach or the Zulu approach?
Well, I'm probably looking at the Zulu.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're right. It is 13.
Oh,
you're the man.
That makes things pretty easy.
You're the man.
Oh well.
Well, look at the difference in minimums, though. Let's use the minimums for the Zulu, even though you're flying the Yankee.
Okay.
It's all the same otherwise.
Got it.
And then that way you can get lower, because otherwise this Yankee thing, you're way out. The MDA is 3,100 feet above the runway.
Now I want to be turning, until we reach ETL, I want to be turning on the bearing pointer for the VOR, don't I?
That's correct. You want to be going direct to the VOR.
All right, we will go direct.
How far are we? 1 mile. 1.3. Okay. Yeah. All right. So at any point here, whenever you want, or you feel like you're pretty much over ETL, you can turn to 102.
All right, we'll turn 102.
And then go direct SEPMA.
102. Close that.
Yeah.
Open this.
And then go direct. Direct SETMA.
Direct SETMA. Okay, done.
Enter. Then go back to the other screen.
All right, go back to the other screen.
And I don't know why it's not showing direct. It should.
Direct SETMA is right here.
No, it shows direct. You can go nav.
Nav. Okay. It looks like it's trying to correct some cross-track error.
I guess. That shouldn't be there, but it is. I don't understand that.
GPS.
What's a cross-track error say?
0.9, and it keeps flashing in and out. So
okay. You're a mile off to the left.
All right.
It's going to get back on this thing. I don't know quite why it did that, but sometimes if you're navigating on a VOR or a GPS, they're not the same, and they should be. But
okay, well,
okay,
it's figuring it out.
And how far to SETMA? 6 miles.
4.7 nautical miles.
Oh, okay. All right, good enough. All right, so we look back at the top again just to make sure that it's doing what we expect it to do, which is it's navigating by GPS, it's going direct SETMA, the autopilot's on, and its altitude hold level at 13,000.
So far, so good.
Yeah. So if you want, you can just hold that altitude because it's only a 100-foot difference. But at SETMA, we've got to be ready to come down. We got 10 miles to come down. Let's see, 12,360 feet, or 2,360 feet rather. So, I would get coming down about 900 feet a minute for me. But you're going, if you look ahead of us, you're going into a bowl there.
Yeah.
And that's where in that bowl.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. This is a ski city.
It kind of have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, snow skiing, Telluride.
Fun.
Well, when your software ship comes in and you buy yourself a hot little sporty airplane, you want to go skiing up there, you just fly yourself up there in the snow country.
I think this would be a blast.
Yeah, it would. It'd be a whole lot better if you can see like you can today.
Yeah, I could have changed the weather a little bit, but I'm not mad at this. It's fine.
No, I wanted you to be able to see it because it's just a real eye-opener.
It is. This is something. You go, I'm going to be landing in this. All right, so we are 1 mile away from SETMA.
Now, what you can do then is program the next altitude, which would be on the Zulu approach, 10,000. I put 10,700.
10,700. I see the little glide slope ball coming down.
There you go. And that's really, really very useful to keep an eye on that because that will.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I take her down to about 900 feet per minute down, and then see what it does with the magenta diamond. If that thing stays centered, then you're good.
It's pretty close. It's drifting.
Close.
It's drifting up just slightly.
So I would bring it up 100 feet a minute. Nose up 100 feet a minute.
Nose up 100 feet a minute. Now vertical speed coming. Yeah.
Now we need to make sure we've got our before landing check, right? So remember the gump, gas, fullest tank.
All right.
Down and lock.
Let's see.
Mixer's full rich.
Okay, hang on. Gumps.
All right.
Gas. Actually, it looks like we're using both tanks. So.
Cessna does that.
All right. So undercarriage is fixed.
Down and lock. Mixture.
Full rich. Okay.
And propeller full forward.
All right. Propeller is well, we don't have that control. But.
That's correct. But when the day comes that you do, you'll be ready for it.
Propeller full forward. Okay.
All right. So how are we doing here? How many miles to the runway? What does it say up on top?
8 miles to the runway, and the glide slope's slipping up a little bit, so we're going to go ahead.
All right. So another 100 feet.
Another
up.
100 feet. Flatten that descent.
Yeah, there you go. It's better to be a little below it than a little high, but you want to try to keep it as close as you can to center because when you do that, you're right on the descent path. You're perfectly where you want to be.
Got it.
Well, when you get closer, you'll go, where's the runway?
Yeah.
And like I said, it looks like a snake laying on a rock bed.
Oh, tremendous. I think we need to continue to flatten this approach out a little bit. Woo! A little bit of weather here. Hang on.
How about that?
Yeah.
If they wanted a smooth ride, they'd have gone.
Whoa!
What's all that about?
Oh, I don't know. Hang on a second. Plugins, XP Realistic, disable. Stop it. There. I have something called XP Realistic that does some clever stuff like that, and it just needs to stop.
Yeah. All right, how we doing? We on path? On
it looks good. Path's good. Just a second. Plugins.
We got our before landing checklist done.
Yep.
All right, how many miles to go now?
5.5 miles to go, and we are right on the glide slope. In fact, that's slipping down, so I'm going to go ahead and increase the descent. Speed is 90 knots.
That's good. You know, one of the things that's cool to do also is do approach like this at night.
Oh, wow.
Because the only thing you see is that runway. Everything else is like invisible.
Okay, we're coming down good. I've got visual on the runway. We are just bang on center line.
See the runway?
Oh, yeah. It's a trip.
Yeah. It's like on a mesa, and there's a valley that surrounds it.
It's okay. The AP is now stopping the descent because we reached 10,700. So I'm going to go ahead and take it in myself now.
Yeah, do that. And keep your eye on that magenta diamond, and that'll give you a good vertical descent all the way in.
Copy that. Now, what kind of speed are we looking at here? We need to.
Well, what do you have right now?
90 knots.
I'd bring it back to about 70 is probably pretty good.
All right, bringing it back to 70 knots. Continuing the descent.
At some point, you're going to want to put in some flaps. That's your call.
Right about now sounds okay to me.
I've got trim and flaps programmed on my control yoke.
I have trim on my yoke, not flaps. I should do that.
Yeah, it's nice. I programmed a setting too to turn the strobe lights off when I'm flying at night.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I also programmed another button to increase the intensity of the HUD display.
That's a good idea.
If it's dim in daylight, it's hard to see.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and flatten my descent out because I'm a little low. I'm about a dot. I'm at about a dot and a quarter low, so I need to.
Okay, all right. How do you like the look of that?
That is really something. Boy, it's nestled in here, isn't it?
That's about the only place they could put it.
Well, good on them. They didn't waste a nice green field.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, I mean it's either this or a golf course, man.
Well, I've seen runways right through the middle of a golf course.
Why not?
Matter of fact, there's one like that at Ocean Shores.
Oh, too funny. All right, okay, we're getting back on it now.
Yeah, I think for the golfers, there's a sign that says "Watch for airplanes."
Oh, that's fantastic.
When they cross the runway on their playing golf.
That's too good. Okay.
When I flew this thing, I'm looking at that and I'm going, "You're kidding."
Now I got one notch of flaps. Should we?
Well, it's kind of up to you. You know, with a 7,100 feet runway and a 172, you probably don't need any more.
Well, we didn't check those performance charts, so I guess we don't really know.
No, but I mean, I'm sure it's okay. But if you want to throw on another notch, go for it.
No, this feels real stable. We have a nice stable descent.
Good. Is that cool or what?
That is really something. And also, I'm starting to see the let's just call it the texture on this runway. The character is pretty bumpy.
That's funny. Oh yeah, if you don't touch down on that rubber, then you're going to be trying to touch down on the descending part of that little whoopie-doo.
Boy.
Is that cool or what?
That's something. All right.
Here we go.
All right, chop it.
Looks pretty good to me, doggone. I'll tell you, you know, when you start taking real flying lessons, your instructor's going to go, "Where have you been?"
That's right. What have you been? You've been training somewhere else, boy?
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
Wow. Oh yeah, look at
Telluride.
this. Look at this little roller coaster we're on. Hey, it's the greatest show on earth.
Is that cool?
That was great. Loved this.